What's up guys? Welcome back to Bangkok and welcome to the area of On Nut.
สถานีต่อไปอ่อนนุช
This is going to be the first episode in a new mini-series I'm making where I'm checking out different areas along the BTS Sukhumvit line here in Bangkok. Each episode we will check out one area, the pros, the cons, the nightlife, and whether it makes sense for long-term living for singles or for family. We'll start here in On Nut and then we'll make our way step by step closer to the city center. But let's take a look at how it's actually like to live here in On Nut, Bangkok. Before we take a closer look at what On Nut is like today, it helps to understand where we are in the city. Bangkok is a large and complex city made up of many different districts and neighborhoods. But when it comes to modern expert living, one road stands out. The Sukhumvit Road runs from the city center and stretches far east, connecting many of the areas where people live, work and commute. Along this road runs the BTS Sukhumvit line, which has played a major role in how these neighborhoods developed. On Nut sits along this stretch right on the BTS Sukhumvit line. When the BTS first opened, On Nut was actually the last stop on this line for many years. That played a big role in how this area developed. Instead of becoming a nightlife or lifestyle destination, On Nut grew into a modern residential neighborhood focused on everyday living. The heart of the area isn't the BTS station itself. It's the Sukhumvit Soi 77, also known as On Nut Road. This road runs northeast from the Sukhumvit Road and connects residential street, local market and daily routines. If you want to understand On Nut, this is the road that ties the whole area together. On Nut has a very residential and practical feel to it. It's an area focused on everyday life rather than nightlife or luxury living. Compared to areas closer to the city center, On Nut feels calmer, more local and more relaxed. You will see fewer tourists here and more people who actually live and work in Bangkok. One of the biggest advantages of living in On Nut is transportation. The area sits directly on the BTS Sukhumvit line, which makes commuting into the city simple and predictable. For many people, this is the furthest out they are willing to live while still staying well connected. Daily life in On Nut is easy and straightforward. You'll find supermarkets, convenience stores, gyms and casual cafes within walking distance. It's not flashy, but everything you need for everyday living is close by. So if you're still watching and you find this video useful, then please consider giving it a like. It will mean a lot to the channel. Housing in On Nut mainly consists of mid-rise and high-rise condominium buildings. This reflects how the area developed. Practical housing close to public transport and major roads. Most condos here are designed for efficient city living, with shared facilities such as pools, gyms and common areas. Living spaces are often more compact, but newer development tends to be well maintained and functional. In general, On Nut sits on the lower to mid-price range compared to many other areas along the BTS Sukhumvit line. You're mainly paying for value, convenience and access to public transport rather than the prestige or lifestyle branding. Compared to areas closer to the city center, you can often get newer buildings, more space for the same budget. That's a big reason why On Nut appeals to first-time expat or long-term residents. Of course, there are downsides to living in On Nut. Being further out means longer commute times, especially if you spend a lot of time in central Bangkok. Some part of the area can feel crowded, and overall On Nut doesn't have a strong identity or lifestyle scene. This is often what people underestimate. On Nut is practical, but not particularly inspiring. For families, On Nut can be a very practical option. One of the reasons is access to international schools and educational institutions in and around the area. While On Nut isn't known as a traditional school hub, there are several international schools within reasonable distance. Combined with the calmer residential environments, this makes the area appealing for families looking for balance rather than lifestyle or the nightlife scene. Many families choose On Nut not because it's perfect, but because it simplifies everyday life. When it comes to nightlife, On Nut is very low-key. There are few casual bars and local places to grab a drink, but this is not a nightlife hub. Evenings here are generally quiet, especially compared to areas closer to the city center. If nightlife is a priority for you, the area may feel limited, but if you prefer a calmer evening, that's often a positive. Overall, On Nut works especially well for first-time expats, couples and families. It's ideal if you're looking for good transportation connections, value for money and quieter daily rhythm. If you're looking for nightlife, luxury living or a strong lifestyle scene, you may want to look closer to the city center. So that was my take of the area of On Nut here in Bangkok. In the next video we will move one step closer to the city center and check out the area of Phra Khanong. If you got anything out of this video, then feel free to give it a like. If you want to see more of my content, then please consider subscribing as well. Otherwise we will see each other on the next one. Bye.